Welcome to another episode of Behind the Needle. I am your host, Mike Lemieux. I'm the founder of MedSpa Media, and we are a group, an agency that gets new customers for med spas through paid ads. And we're the ones who communicate and book all the leads for you. It's awesome and we love it. And I'm here today with Ashleigh Strother. She is the founder of LCV Beauty. Ashleigh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited that you're here because you are somebody that I've wanted to interview for a little while. You said yes, so thank you for being on here. But there's a lot of things about you and LCV Beauty that I am interested in and like and want to talk about because of the fact that you're in a small town. You offer a wide variety of cutting edge things like we'll let you get into that. But I also want to talk about because your mentality about aesthetics is exactly what I think it should be. If I may have a bold opinion about that, I do. It's exactly what I think it should be because a lot of people, myself included, think that you can just, I don't do this anymore, but you could just go get a facial once every 6 months, never wash
hmm
your face with anything other than dial soap when you're in the shower, and you'll be good. But in reality, it's very similar to, say, the gym and eating healthy. If you want a good overall healthy well-being, we have to do things daily and monthly and yearly and semi-annually in order to maintain that health for our skin, for our bodies as well. So I want to talk about all that too. But before we get into any of that, tell us how you ended up in the Lewis Clark Valley, which is if you've never heard of the Lewis Clark Valley, which it's fair to say that a lot of people may not have unless they're following you and they live around there. It's nestled gently in between Washington and Idaho.
Yes,
So you used to be a realtor out here in the Phoenix area.
yes.
How did you end up where you are?
A boy. So I was out at Ocean Club one night for a friend's birthday, and I was just having a great girls' night. Wasn't interested in meeting anyone. Long story short, this gentleman started talking to me and told me he's from Washington State, and I'm originally from Portland. And West Coasters just assume if you're from Washington, you live in Seattle. That's the only place to live in Washington. And I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
like Seattle, and he said, no. Clarkston. And I said, where is that? And so he had to go through the whole geography of the state. Do you know where Pullman is? No. Do you know where WSU is? I'm like, I've heard of it. He's like, well, it's just 30 minutes south of that. And so 6 months of a long distance relationship, I took the leap and moved here. And I've been here ever since. And that was 17 years ago.
That is that is fantastic. Was
Yes.
it so what were you doing real estate at the time when you moved out?
A couple different things. So I was in real estate for a long time. I started selling real
Hmm.
estate to Canadians coming down buying second homes. That's kind of what my
Hmm.
niche ended up being. I was working with a multi-million dollar producer at first and then switched, and then market got a little crazy,
Yeah.
and people were kind of losing their homes and then picking up for cheap, and then they'd redo them. So I started doing in-home flooring sales. And so it was like high pressure sales, but we'd see three houses a day. We'd go and we'd measure, we'd show them all the samples and redo all these homes for them. And that was great, but it was extremely stressful. And it just got to the point I just met my husband around the same time. And I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And I've
Yeah.
always wanted to get into medicine and nursing. And I just, to be honest, I never thought I was smart enough. I had too much fun in school and I wasn't very focused. And when
Oh
I moved
yeah.
here, I was a little bit older and I was able to go back to school and, get the straight A's and really pay attention. And I fell in love with the program here. They have an excellent nursing program here and was able to finish it in 3 years or so and got right into the ICU and started my journey here.
That's awesome. Well, good for you. I had a similar growing up experience with school.
Yeah.
I mean, it had
It's
to have
fun
been
to
the
have
environment.
fun.
Yeah, it's fun to have fun and play video games and sports and not study and do homework. It's
Yeah.
definitely more fun. But congratulations on all of that because going back even later is a phenomenal thing to do. It's not like the norm, but you did it because you wanted to, and you're doing what you want to do in medicine. And I love that.
hmm
So you moved out 17 years ago, settled down with the same gentleman, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, okay.
Yep.
So he hooked you
Hook,
and
line,
never
sinker.
let go, never let
Yes.
go. There was no catch and release there. And then you did nursing, and then your school, and then you ended up in the ICU.
Yep.
And then after a while, you're just like, man, the ICU is super cool, but also not. And
No,
I'm ready
actually,
to go.
I loved the ICU. I actually didn't want to
Okay.
leave. What happened is I had just had two children and bedside
Hmm.
nursing is really long hours. And so I
Yeah.
cut back. And because I cut back, they kept floating me. So at the hospital, when you're not there as often, sometimes they'll send you to the medical floor. They'll send you, other places that aren't your home. And that gets annoying after a while.
Uh-huh.
And I just remember it being really hard to leave my two babies and do these long hours. And my husband just kind of was like, if you want to try being just at home for a while, you can. And I said, okay. So I had that in my back pocket. And one day I got floated and I just said, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to take a break. And so I quit. And then I found out I was pregnant with my third child
Hmm.
um, on accident. How do you get pregnant? I don't know, but pregnant and sick in bed for
We can
three
talk about that
months.
on a different episode.
Yeah, that's a different podcast, I think. But I was just in bed sick and I always have to give a shout out to Melissa Burke, the beauty nurse, because I fell in love with her content. And when I wasn't feeling my best after two kids, I was going to go see her. And I just thought some filler and Botox would just make me beautiful again. And, after two kids, you just feel a certain way.
Yep.
And I had to cancel my appointment because I was pregnant and I was sick. And so she actually helped me with a skincare regimen. And that's what started all of this is
Wow.
I became obsessed with her content just in the trade. And then I remember DMing her. I'm like, can I do this as a nurse? And she pretty much said, yes, this is what you need to do. And so she really helped start my career. And then
That's
because I was
crazy.
pregnant and couldn't get any injectables done, I started her skincare program. And after a year, I felt way better, even though I couldn't get the injectables. And I know we're going to get into
Wow.
that a little bit later, but it just goes to, aesthetics is more than needles. It's a lot of other things.
It is. This is fascinating to me too. And I want to talk about aesthetics as more than needles, but this is so fascinating to me because a lot of people say how important social media is. It's really hard to understand why, though, because I
I
think
Go ahead.
all I was going to say was I think I know it's important. We all know it's important. You just kind of feel it. But this is a prime example as to why it is important because her posting her content literally changed the entire trajectory of your life.
Hmm.
And her willingness to communicate with you in those messages, talking about skin. And it might just sound as simple as a cleanser
Hmm.
or an SPF or, later on a retinol or whatever. But it's so much more than that. It's just fascinating to me how that butterfly effect impacted you. And it's effectively impacted me here because we're on this episode together recording this and your team and your family and everyone. It's that I really like something like that because you really just you don't understand always the impacts that your content is going to have because you don't see the other end of it generally when people are consuming your content.
Yeah, that's a pivotal thought. Look at us. Like that's pretty kind of groundbreaking. I've never thought about it like that before. That's a fabulous point.
That's cool. So you communicated with her and then what happened? Like how did you become a nurse
Okay, yeah.
injector?
So then I'm like 4 or 5 months pregnant, and I asked, well, first of all, was asking, and I'm not working. So the budget talk
Yeah.
with my husband about I want to spend $700 on skincare, and he's like, excuse me. And
Yeah.
um,
He's like, I
I
told
got
you you
my
could
way
take a
eventually.
break. I told you you could take a break. I didn't tell you you could start taking a break and spending more money than ever before, right?
Exactly. But
Yeah.
that first skincare purchase is always quite expensive, and that's another educational talk. But it's a big purchase and then it doesn't become as overwhelming. But
Yeah.
so I did that and then I'm like, there is a class in Seattle, again, social media with another injector I follow that I really respect, Erica Berry,
Hmm.
everyone knows her, was going to be in Seattle like in a month. And I was like, I want to take that class. I think
Yeah.
she's fantastic. And he's like, I gotta stop saying like, but he's just $5,000 in a month. Are you sure? Like, what are we doing? And I was just adamant that this class was going to be it. And so I
Yeah.
went over there. We spent the 5,000. I'm 4 or 5 months pregnant. I get the certification. I come home and now what? I've got the certification. What do you do with it? You're a nurse. In the state of Idaho, you have to have a medical director oversee you. That's either a nurse practitioner or a doctor or a PA. And every state's different. Just as an educational moment for everyone listening, is that
Yeah.
depending on what state you are in, defines who needs to oversee you to do these things. Some states don't
Mm.
allow RNs to do what we do, so Idaho does.
Hmm.
Um, so I got home, and this is another thing with nursing is I really wanted to align myself with all the nurse injectors in town to figure out who I wanted to work with. The big thing here is social media wasn't big here. When I first moved here, I said we were stuck in the 80s. No one talks about these things. I didn't
What
even
year was
know.
this?
Oh,
What
this
you're
was
talking
in
about
like
right now?
2008, 17, 18.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was looking at all the med spas in town, and there was no social media presence. And I really wanted to blow the lid off that for this community. I really wanted to open the doors to talking about it and not having people hide behind doors to go in places to get things done.
Oh man,
And
yeah.
so I met with every injector I knew from the hospital setting. There was a few people that I aligned with, and then I met with a surgeon, and I kind of just shot my shot, and I said, "This is what I want to do. This is how much I want to be paid." And he was the most laid back and the most welcoming, and he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so I had the only plastic surgeon in town's oversight, and I ran with it. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, Idaho was a little more open than other states. So I didn't have to shut down completely. We did for a little while, but in the
Yeah.
meantime, we were masking up, we were treating patients, we were testing, and I was delivering skincare door to door. You were placing
Wow.
your orders, and I was hand delivering it to you because no one wanted to go out during those times. And so
Yeah.
I had my best months in the industry. I mean, not now that I've grown, but as an individual solo injector that was an independent contractor, I was selling a lot of skincare, and it was just sharing what I was doing at home. So I stuck with him for about 2 years, and I ended up getting just so busy that I needed my own space and I wanted a different aesthetic. And, I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to aesthetic everything. And I decided to build my own place once I met a certain goal. And that's what I did. So,
Can I ask, was it hard to have a was there a conversation with the doctor about, hey, I'm leaving? You didn't just like say I'm out.
not really. I was an independent contractor, so it's not like he wasn't doing Botox and filler on his own still. And he was halfway out the door retiring anyway.
Interesting.
So I think when I moved into my own space, it was a little harder for him to oversee or be comfortable with the arrangement, maybe. But he was always super supportive. And I was able to, when you're in this town and every doctor and nurse there is, it's easy to help
Hmm.
or to find medical oversight to assist you too. So that was nice.
So a question that I want to ask you has to do with the transition and being naive to starting a business versus today.
Yeah.
Because I believe that I have talked to this exact thing that you just said comes up a lot. I wanted it to be my own aesthetic. I wanted to have more freedom. I wanted to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's also, I think I can make more money doing it myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think then I can grow my own team. I think that I could then scale it. I think that I could then sell it. I think that I could blah, 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 blah. Step back, work on the business, not in the business. Like all of these things are the dream that many nurses, NPPA, those are typically the three, and you have estheticians who go out on their own as well. But those folks I have talked with a lot. But was it was it a shock to you at how much goes into opening a business when you first started? Did it seem easier than you thought it would be? Was it what you expected? Like specifically walk me through, was there anything that you wish that you knew then when you were starting the business that you know now? Because I think a lot of people are in that mindset. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people want to do what you did, but they're
Hmm.
very afraid and the
Yeah,
risk feels too great for them to try. So is there any piece of advice that you would give people that may be considering starting their own thing?
they should be afraid.
They
It's
should.
a it's kind of a multi-facet answer, actually. It's really hard. I was so obsessed and determined to succeed. My husband won't like me telling the story, but um, a real estate friend of mine here said I should open my own place. And I said, "You're crazy." It just sounded
Really?
overwhelming. And I was like, I can't do that. So she just kind of started dabbling and we looked at some spaces, 1,800 square feet, fell in love with the idea, fell in love with the space. I could visualize it all. And
Yeah.
then they wouldn't rent to me. And I was devastated. And then I was just
Why?
like searching. I think I wanted too much. It was like an office building, so I needed to put plumbing in every room. And it probably just seemed like a lot to
Oh,
the
got it.
people.
Got it.
Um, and then the next place she showed me, which is the place we're in now, was just shy of 4,000 square feet. And I was like, yes, I can see it all and I can make this work. And I am a nurse. I am not a business mind, but I knew for the amount of rent that I was paying, and if it was just me and a front desk girl, and I had another girl renting a room, I only had to do XYZ to make rent. And if I didn't make money, that's okay because my husband said I could be a stay-at-home mom. So if I could cover daycare, that would work, right? So that's my math. I'm like, can I cover daycare? Can I cover rent? And whoever's working for me. And if I can do that, especially in my first year, it'll be okay. And so
If there ever was someone who used girl math to start their business, I feel like it was this, but I love
this
it.
place is run on girl math. I mean, I've gotten
Love
better. I
it.
have like an accountant that tells me no a lot now, but that's how it started. And then
Okay.
how do I do the construction here? I don't even know where to start. She had a contractor here within an hour. So my husband comes by and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "What do you think? This is crazy."
You
And
should
he's like, "If
say,
this
you should
place,
go ahead, go ahead.
well, he's like, if this place fails, this is on us. Like, you're in a 3-year lease." And I was like, I just know it will not fail. And so maybe it was that, he is my number one cheerleader. He just started an Instagram the other day. He's Mr. LCV Beauty now. He's all in now. But back then he's like, "You're insane." And I was like, just as insane to make this work. And so we slowly built it, but I've never been in the red.
Wow.
It's been amazing. So that's part of it. So then you talked about, what makes your team not want to leave or who could do this and who couldn't. I think it's people that are content just showing up that don't want to do all that extra work and don't want that debt and don't want um, the risk
Responsibility, the
and the
risk.
responsibility. And they don't want to search for clients. They want to show up, they want to do a good job, and they want to make a good wage.
Yeah.
Um, those are your best employees. This is something Erica Berry said, I got to give people credit when credit's due, but she said, treat everyone that works for you like they're going to leave. And if you do that, you'll be proud and happy for them and not disappointed or upset. And so I treat
I like
everyone,
that.
I want everyone to succeed. We get one life. I don't want you working here and hating it. I don't want you
Right.
working here and not wanting to do something to better yourself. So that's how we run it here. And I think I've had the same co-injector for 4 years. All of my estheticians have been here almost going on 5 years. Our staff rarely changes. I always joke that everyone that runs my business starts as my nanny and then they work their way up. So they take care. So my office manager, she was my nanny at one point. So we're really close knit and everyone's fabulous and happy. And
I think I think it was Erin Hewitt out in Minnesota, and she said the same thing. I'm pretty sure it was her. The nanny. It starts with the nanny. I think it had happened to
yes,
her twice.
yes, twice, at least twice with me.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
amazing. I think that it's succeeding because it's just who you are. You literally met a guy at a restaurant and had a long distance relationship for 6 months and then moved to the LCV. You
Yes,
said, okay, yep, I'm gonna do it. You just do it. You just figure it out. That's who you are.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, 100%. I cried every day when I moved here for a year, but I did it.
I would have too.
Yeah. It's sad to leave the sunshine. And I moved here in November. It was
Oof.
hard. Yeah. There's like blinking lights on the weekends, so you don't really know yeah, and everything's closed on Sundays. Yeah. It's
What do you
hard to get
do?
used to.
Ice
I don't
skate?
know. I said, what does everyone do here?
Card
They
games?
like, well, yeah. Well, okay, so we're nestled in the deep, gosh, I'm gonna say this wrong, but the we're in Hell's Canyon, so a huge river runs through our town. So lots of hunting, hiking, fishing, jet
Oh yeah,
boating, all of that
outdoor
stuff's
stuff.
outdoor stuff. And I'm a city girl, so it took me a while. I'm just now figuring that stuff out. So
Good for you. Good for
yeah.
you. Is it hard to grow a med spa in a small town?
So we're a town of about 65,000 people, and looking at the math of that with probably seven aesthetic providers, if you and this is like whole population. So if everyone here went to a med spa, we each have about 9,000 people. That's a pretty small market. And we're pretty rural. So to grow a med spa here, it takes finding the demographic that A wants treatment, is in the budget for treatments, and understands the treatments. So it definitely has its, I don't want to call it a hardship, but difficulty. But that's also the reason I built this. So when you come from a large city to a small town that doesn't have fancy spas per se, you really elevate the experience by presenting that to them. So that's always been my thing is we have all had to travel to Spokane, Boise for services. Boise's 5 hours away, Spokane's 2 hours away. I wanted to elevate something here so we didn't have to travel. So I brought everything from the big cities here because there is a huge demographic that wants it. Is it the biggest
Mm,
demographic? No, but it's becoming bigger. I mean, especially like the younger generation, those 20-ish year olds, they're not drinking, they're going to Pilates, they're doing their skincare. It's a different generation kind of coming up that is looking at these modalities and wanting to treat aging a little bit earlier.
mm.
Um, yeah, I mean, that's a big subject.
So when you went out on your own, what did you do to start growing this thing?
Social media.
Really?
Well, here's the thing, small town, everyone knows everybody, but no one really knew me. So I am kind of an open book to a fault at sometimes, I feel like. But I think just the sheerness of people being nosy or interested in people or someone they don't know.
Hmm.
Um, and so just kind of sharing my life. Having toddlers is great content. So trying to do your skincare and your son putting lotion all over. You just capture these really endearing moments that I think was really fun when I first started.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just pure interest and showing up on social media. Like I said, none of the other med spas were very active or sharing the things. And so that was easy. I mean, I went to craft fairs. I set up a table at a craft fair. Just mingling. I'm pretty social, so just
Yeah.
getting out there,
Put yourself out
talking
there.
to people. Yeah, exactly.
And is it hard to grow a team in a small town when you each have 9,000 people
That was,
between each of you?
yeah, I think I have the only,
Is everyone else a solo provider that's
they're
around
not
you and
solo
you're
provider, but I think most offices are max two injectors. We're looking at hiring a third and maybe one esthetician, one massage therapist, and we have two or three of each. My team is around 12 usually. We run at 12 people. And so three or four front desk people and 5 to 7 providers. Um, but that's also me as a business owner stepping back a little bit. And burnout's a thing that we can talk about later, but
yeah,
figuring out how to the hardest thing about scaling a business is figuring out how you can step back and hiring the right people so that you don't have to be in it all the time.
yeah.
So when it comes to hiring people, that is, I don't know if I've just attracted it. I have really good intuition. Living in a small town comes with its own issues of groups and gossips and, cliques. And I'd say half the people that work for me aren't from here. And the other half are just angels with great reputations that are just kind to everyone and don't kind of get into that mix. And that's been super helpful. I used to cringe like going and working OB because there's so many women and you'd hear all the horror like cat fights and who's talking about who. No one in my office has ever made me feel like I'm walking on eggshells. I mean, if they have, they're not here any longer, but I nip it in the butt and it's just not an issue. Everyone's so
Love
kind
that.
and supportive and wants good for everyone and our clients. We're not pushy. We want to actually help people in how they want to be helped. My injector was in my office earlier and she's like, just want to talk about a patient treatment plan with you. And I looked at the lady, I'm like, she's stunning. She doesn't need anything. Sometimes people just want things to want them, or they think like some people are like, I just want more filler, but you don't need filler, but I want it.
Yeah.
It won't look good.
Yeah.
So having those honest conversations. And so I've never been in this business to make money. And I know that's a terrible business owner thing to say, but I've just really wanted to like help people and it be beneficial on both ends because that's how you grow those relationships with people.
Yeah, I respect that about you. I do.
Thank you.
Saying no is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah.
From a customer's perspective, if you come in saying, I think I know what I need. I'm self-diagnosing here, right?
Hmm.
Or I'm seeing people talking about different treatments. I'm looking at the providers that are in my town.
Hmm.
And then I'm comparing them to myself and I'm thinking, oh, their cheeks are bigger, or their lips are more full,
Yeah.
or their chin is more prominent. Then
Yeah.
that could be where that comes from. But you have a trained eye and you can say, no, you actually don't need that. And I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
And then you can confidently say what you do need to do is these skincare steps. And this is what it's going to do for you first. Because you were there.
Yes.
That,
Yes.
that was you.
Yes. Well, and the other hard conversation too is, when you do have that older patient that wants all these things, the hard conversation we have to have is a facelift is going to get you the three fingers going like this that you think filler will get you. You know what I mean? And referring them
Yeah.
to a plastic surgeon and that could be a hard, that's where education and there's the whole one and done versus consistency. When you haven't been consistent and you're in your 60s and 70s and you want this and your skin integrity isn't there, unfortunately, filler and biostimulators aren't going to be enough.
Yeah.
And they won't work quick enough for you to be satisfied usually. So that's another conversation we have to have with people.
Yeah. And when you said one and done, you mean like, oh, just get two syringes of filler and then
Yeah.
some Botox and then you'll be good. You're talking about like, it actually might not work that way. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So I'll take just for example, my 60 and 70-year-old patients that have never done anything and they come in and they like, I just want a little filler. We've learned the hard way. You have these experiences and they teach you something. So you say to these 60 and 70-year-olds that have never done anything, let's do 5 syringes, which is quite costly. And um, we think we can get you this result. And they're never happy because it's not enough. If you're in your 60s and 70s, you have poor skin quality, and you need a lot of rejuvenation, you need at least 10. And now we're starting to talk really big numbers that no one wants to pay typically.
Right.
And they're not going to be satisfied with probably those 10 syringes either because they needed to probably start with skincare and lasers first. Get that skin integrity where it needs to be, then talk about fillers. But honestly, they probably just need a facelift in the end with the lasers and skin treatments. I think that's another thing that people forget or don't think of. They think if they get a facelift, they don't need fillers, they don't need lasers, they just want this, right? So just to kind of back up a little bit, the biggest thing you can do for your skin is wear sunscreen when you are in your 20s and start eye cream. Those are like my two big ones as you age. Have a good cleaning
Okay.
system. When you get in your 30s, retinols and vitamin C, SPF is absolute must. So those are the basic non-negotiable things that you should start with when you're young. As your static lines start developing, you really need to start making Botox and maintenance treatment. And then it's just honestly anatomy and genetics. Some people will never need filler in their life. Some people will need a little every couple years. Some people, everyone's just so different. But understanding what you need and why you need it and how often you need it is something that if you go to a good provider, they can write a treatment plan. They can talk to you about timelines. And expectations and goals are really important to set with your people so that they're not disappointed and you're not over promising and under delivering.
If I had a microphone here, I would throw it on the ground. I wouldn't just drop it. Well said.
Thank you.
I find that every esthetician and injector talks about the importance of skincare, and they beat the horse so dead. It makes me feel overwhelmed, though, for a few different reasons. I don't want to spend, and I'm trying to think it through a male or a female's lens.
Yeah.
I think females in general are more open to the idea of spending $500 on skincare that'll last
Yeah.
for 3 to 6 months. I spend that because I know that it matters, but I didn't always think that it mattered and understand. But for those who have not yet started or who have lapsed in their skincare routine and
Hmm.
they don't want to spend $500 every time they walk in their door,
Yeah.
what are the one or two products, if you can narrow it down to one or three, that you could not do without?
Mm. Like
Let's
specific
say this.
product
Let's
or
say
like category product, like retinol or
category,
like my specific retinol.
category. And let's say two or three, because that
Sure.
one or two might be hard for you. Two to
Yeah.
three. And I want to spend, and how much I would have to spend. Like, is that possible to share?
Yeah. Okay. So if you think about a really good high quality retinol, you want to get a retinol that maybe has other things in it. So does it have things that help with acne too? So finding a combo serum and treatment cream are going to be the best bang for your buck. And
Okay.
to also break down the cost, think wise, yes, you might be spending $500, but that's going to last you 3 months. And if I did girl math, that's like a couple dollars a day, right?
And we do girl math. We
We
do.
do girl math. I
We do
excel
girl
in it.
math.
I should be a professor in girl math.
Oh,
So I always say, I know this bottle is $150, but this is going to last you 3 months. And some of these products is education, like you only need half a pump or a full pump. But back to your original question, SPF is going to protect your skin. So if you're getting these treatments or you're getting Botox or filler, you need to protect the canvas. So
okay.
SPF every single day is non-negotiable. No, your moisturizer with SPF does not work. You need to use 5 times the amount of your tinted moisturizer with SPF as you would a true SPF. The other thing with
Really?
SPFs is they make them like makeup now. That's all I wear is SPF. That's
That's
my
all you
makeup.
have right now.
Well, not today. Today's a special occasion.
Okay, okay.
But underneath,
Fair.
on my daily wear, it's just SPF, a little blush, and that's it.
Wow.
So I'm protecting because you got to protect your investment. If you're getting lasered, don't go get the sun damage back that you just got off.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people come in for sun damage. So SPF number one, those
SPF number
range,
one.
yep, and those can range from $50 to like $75.
Okay.
Last you maybe a month and a half or so if you're using it every day.
Okay.
So next thing is probably a retinol. Try and get a retinol with something else anti-aging in it. Those usually are going to cost anywhere from $100 to $150. So we're at like what, 230, something like that.
Hmm.
And then I'm okay with cleansers, but don't you can get a drugstore cleanser, but just make sure it has simple ingredients. Use ChatGPT and screenshot it. Just make sure you're using a clean washcloth and lukewarm water. So you can get away with that.
So
And then I
you
think probably what?
finish and I'll tell you.
Oh, and
I'll
then I was
ask.
just going to say, I think a really good antioxidant serum in the morning that is going to help with hydration and protection from our daily environment, pollution, the sun, UVA, UVB. That
Okay.
way you're kind of brightening your skin and protecting it at the same time. So those are kind of my three I would
Yeah.
spend money on.
Thank you for that. Why does it matter to buy medical grade versus stuff that you can get at the grocery store or the drugstore? Like, is
It's
there
usually
actually really a difference?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it goes through extreme testing and white papers on all of it to prove that it works and how it works. The concentration, I would say, of the actual actives in the products is where you get the most bang for your buck when you're spending on medical grade.
Oh, so
So
it actually is more potent generally, probably most all the
generally,
time.
or the science that goes into it, like Skin Better Science, for example, they
Love
have a
them.
patent on, yes, and they're local to you. Their patent
Hmm.
on their alpha ret technology delivers that retinoic acid molecule without irritation. So you're able to use a retinoid every single day when some people are using that straight tretinoin from the dermatologist and their face is on fire and burning and they're getting sunburn and all the things. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what separates, I think, medical grade from just run of the mill. It's going to be you have a higher concentration of actives, and it's actually got patent and technology that's going to be absorbed and drive deeper in the skin than probably a drugstore product would.
If you're watching this video, my skin, I've got a couple of blackheads, but
Yeah.
Maestro from Skin Better is the best product that's on the market.
Oh my gosh. Good to hear. Do you know they have a Maestro Revive?
Yes.
And I'm horrible sometimes at paying attention when they just pop new products on the market all the time. I get a little skincare overwhelmed when things just pop up so quickly. But our rep was in the other day and it is so hydrating and it is great for the perimenopause, menopause women, people with dry skin,
Mm,
aging skin. So it's like Maestro, but it has 5 extra additives in it that makes it just so much more hydrating. So you should try that one
wonderful.
next. Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay. So you answered the question about the skincare.
Yeah.
Tell me something that if you could talk to every single one of your customers and your potential customers, what's like a common concern or false belief about the aesthetic space or a treatment that you would want to share with everyone so that they all know, like, hey, you don't actually have to worry about this or that.
I would like to talk to every single woman patient of mine's husband or spouse or significant other and explain to them that filler is not Botox. I think the biggest um, thing that holds women back sometimes is their partner saying no or them being scared um, or not understanding that Botox is not filler and filler is not Botox. They
Yep.
think that their loved one is going to be this puffy, huge, like blown up, overdone housewife. And I think understanding why we do Botox and where we do it and why we do it where we do it is super beneficial to explain to people because I think there's a huge misconception on what things are.
Mm. Filler makes you fuller.
Hmm.
It restores
Which some people
volume.
need.
Some people need some people need the restoration of the volume. Some people
Yes,
never had it to begin with, so you
yes,
can enhance.
yes,
But Botox smooths
yeah,
and relaxes, and it doesn't make you bigger in the face.
yes, no,
And in order to get that, you mentioned Housewife. I'm assuming you're talking about the reality show because some of them
yes,
probably were famous and had a ton of work done
yeah.
10, 15 years ago, whatever it was. In order to get that look, you have to have a massive amount of filler in order to do that.
A lot, or it has to be done badly, or you're going to an injector that doesn't tell you no, like we talked about earlier. You just want
Yeah.
more and more and more, and you don't need it. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the biggest misconception that I would want to tell everyone.
Yeah, that's good. What are you going to say?
I don't know.
It's not it's just a lack of awareness, right? That's all that it is. It's just Botox isn't filler and they're not the same. They're just different than each other,
What
but also
I just think it's a really confusing field when you're not in it every day. Like this is our everyday language,
yeah,
and so many people that come to me like don't know the difference between Juvederm and Restylane and are like it doesn't matter to them. They don't
an
understand. It's our
RHA,
job
yeah.
to educate and teach them why we use this over this, or why we don't like this, or don't use this, why this would be better in you, but this would be better in your friend.
Hmm.
Um, because people will still come in and think Botox and Juvederm are the same thing. I'm like, oh no, And so I have to
Yeah.
do the whole filler is like a gel. It's like think about jam or jelly, and Botox is a liquid. I could squirt it on you like water, and it goes in and does this and blocks the acetylcholine. All those things
The
because
old
they don't.
acetylcholine blocker.
Yeah, so that you can't make the muscle movement that's causing the line. So it's just a lot of education, I think. And that's where social media, I think, becomes hard sometimes, is because this becomes easy, everyday jargon to us and not others. We forget that we have to back up sometimes and re-educate about just this things that are simple to us that aren't simple for everyone else.
Yeah, we have to bring it down to an understandable level of
Hmm.
so that the normal people like me can get what you're saying because we don't understand all. We don't know the muscle names and the nerve names and the blockers and like help us understand, please, Ashley, help us. What is
Yeah.
something you would change about either the industry or the way aesthetics is looked at or talked about? What would you change?
I think a big problem in the industry becomes um, very vain. And you go to these conferences and you've got, here's the other thing. There's so many different aesthetics too. The the overdone look to one might be really beautiful to someone else.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know if I would change it per se, but I think the industry, especially right now, there's a lot of bullying going on in the industry.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a lot of not sharing in the industry. And I think if we could just be a little bit more open. I mean, social media, that this whole PDGF war on Instagram is just people are hating on people that are using it and hating people that aren't using it. And it's just become this, the injectors of the injectors fighting. And it, sometimes it
What's
pays
PDGF for those who don't know?
platelet derived growth factor. So it's,
Platelet derived growth factor. So that must mean you take blood out of someone's arm and then spin it around and then it gives you these growth factors.
well, it's actually, I don't know if I should speak on this because we don't do it, but it's a synthetic. So, um,
Oh,
yeah, so think about peptides and growth factors.
uh-huh.
So it's essentially that, and it has been FDA approved for topical use. Well, injectors are kind of treating it like Sculptra in a way and placing it within the body
Whoa.
to help with under eyes and different hollowings. And so it was meant to be used topically after like microneedling. And so, because it hasn't been
Wow.
FDA approved for injectables, people are using it. And so, there's big injectors saying don't use it. There's big injectors saying use it. There's other injectors you'll hear from my lawyer. This is illegal. Like it's just a whole. Yeah, Mike, where have you been? This is big.
No, I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah.
It seems very wild, wild west, this industry still.
Well, and that's what I was talking about with just peptides and growth factor peptides and what pharmacies you're getting them from and are they safe and the dosages that people are injecting themselves with and then getting sick and then GLP-1s get a really bad rap because they're being inappropriately dosed and they're getting sick and ending up in the hospital and it's just whole influencer like the TikTok doctors and the people.
Um,
There's some aesthetic spaces that you call and they'll do a phone interview with you and they'll just send you whatever without any lab testing, without any. Yeah, I did it. I did it for research purposes. I got a
what did
ton
you
of.
do?
I called a med spa on off of TikTok. It was a larger one in a big state, and they just did a
Who
phone
was it?
interview with me. Oh, I can't say.
Why?
I don't want to. I don't like that. I don't want to. It's
All
not my business what they're doing.
right,
I
all
just
right,
don't
all right.
agree with it. And it was
Okay.
mainly I wanted to know what pharmacies they were using because we were thinking about doing peptides. So it was purely for I was interested and I wanted to see how they did it. So I just became
Yeah.
a client. And I have a cancer history. I have a big melanoma cancer history. And when you're thinking about these growth factor peptides, there's something called angiogenesis, which is like the creation of new blood vessels, and that's why things work, right? So if you're doing these peptides,
What?
yeah, the BPC 157, TB 500, or all these stacks people talk about, they do them to generate healing. And by healing, you're getting blood and oxygen to wherever's hurting, right? Well, if you have a cancer history, are you feeding that cancer and causing it to grow faster?
Is that known or is it unknown?
It's, I mean, they're all still going through testing. That's why most of them aren't FDA approved, right?
What the heck?
So those are just growth factor peptides. And you could make the argument that if you are doing them, if you're cycling them and you don't, patient pre-screening is huge, no skin, like no cancer histories. Can you use them safely? Yes, but some people can't. And I think that the industry is giving them away like candy, or we're getting them from unauthorized sites because TikTok has made them popular, and you see all these fit people on them, and it's just curing and making them their best selves at 40 and 50 years old. It's definitely attractive, but I think we have to be really careful. And I think that's
Yeah,
something else as a med spa here. I don't jump very quickly into new things because I want to see how it goes first.
it's so dangerous because
Yeah.
somebody can get on there who's shredded and say, "This is the stack that I've been on for 3 months and I love it."
Yep.
And they may not even explicitly say, "This is the reason I got so jacked. Look at my before photo from doing this. It was an isolated test where the only variable thing that I did, I worked out the same, I slept the same, my stress levels the same, blah, 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 blah."
Hmm.
But you implicitly will think that this is why you are jacked. This
Hmm.
is why you are shredded, why
Hmm.
you look 10 years younger than your actual age. It's very dangerous. It's marketing. It's been around forever. I remember when I
Hmm.
was younger seeing like Hydroxycut
Oh, I loved
commercials pop
hydroxycut.
on.
So dangerous.
And I remember seeing it. And I feel like that's one of the first times I was exposed to some type of supplemental weight loss marketing for a brand or a product. But it's all the exact same thing. Your approach to this of you have to just be smart and not move so quickly to just jump onto the next thing is very wise. There's no there's no dire need to just jump into a peptide stack that hasn't been FDA approved or at least hasn't been looked at least for a year and used by other people. And there's been some
Hmm.
sort of studies done. I like that and I appreciate that. I think that
I always think if someone were to get
mhm.
cancer, or it be sped up, or it would have anything to do with something I did, I would never be able to forgive myself. So, I think peptides are great when they're used correctly, but I don't know if I need to be the one providing that.
I feel you. I would be scared too. It's
Yeah.
not it's not anything I would want to meddle with. Okay. If you could to finish,
Yeah.
what's one message that you would leave to the gals that you work with? What do you want them to know? This can be heartfelt, this can be inspiring, it can be whatever you want, but like just I want you to just talk to them for a moment. Like, what do you want them to know?
Oh, so hard. You're gonna make me cry if I talk too much. They're just all inspiring in their own way. They make me shine. I would be nothing without them. Um, they're all so special in their own ways and bring such a kindness to this industry and a genuine care for everyone that walks in our door and me. They take care of me just as much as they take care of the patients that we see. And they all are very genuine about it. What you see is what you get with us. And I'm truly just very thankful that they choose to be here with me because they make this place just as much as I do.
I love that. Is there anything else that we haven't mentioned that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. We covered a lot.
Yeah. This was a great interview. I
Yeah, it was
appreciate your
fun.
insight. I appreciate your
Thank you.
time and
Yeah.
sharing these things. Everyone's perspective is so important in this space because everybody has a different experience and different knowledge and really wisdom that we all can benefit from. And it's important that we all do a lot of listening and practice what we hear in order to
Hmm.
make this space and this industry the best that it can be. It's very important because it's definitely not going anywhere. But
Hmm.
if we want it to be what we want it to be, then we all have to work together in order to create whatever that is.
Hmm.
So I'm grateful for your time, Ashleigh, and thank you very much for being here today.
Yes, thank you so much for the thoughtful and inspiring combo. I really had fun.
Good. I'm glad you did. And thank you very much for listening. Until next
Mhm.
time, take great care of yourself, everybody.